Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Ben Talks About. I'm of course your host Ben Contreras. Now, as you can all no doubt see from the drastically different environment we are currently in, I'm not in my usual studio. And by that I mean I'm not recording this video in the middle of my dining room. And the main reason why is because currently it is being occupied by very loud fans as the area is getting all cleaned up. But I still felt like I'm making a video for you guys this week because I've been gone for quite a while. The last video I made was probably like a few weeks ago. I know for a fact that it was the start of the Kirby's Dream Land 3 playthrough that we've been starting to do. And I wasn't quite sure what sort of video I wanted to make, but then I had sort of idea that since, the studio is currently being occupied and I'm right here pretty much all alone while everyone else is doing different things, I decided to, why not do a bit of a, sort of a experimental kind of Ben Talks About, where I pretty much give you guys a little bit of a quote-unquote room tour of, the room that I actually inhabit. Now, this is of course not just my room. I also share this room with my brother Daniel, who you've probably seen in quite a couple of videos that we've made before. Sorry, I'm not sure if this is if this is a good enough angle. The way my arm is currently positioned, I can't really maneuver it all that well. But yeah, I sort of wanted to make this video to sort of give you guys a look at, I've been with this channel for, several years now, and a lot of the things that I pretty much quote unquote used to call reviews, now I just call it Ben Talks About, because, I don't really, script these videos. It's just me pretty much rambling on about, certain things. So I figured why not go through all the different stuff that I have, and I guess that the most appropriate place to start would be right here. As you know, this is every single sort of, I guess, kaiju focused figure that I own. Well, me and my brother own. This is basically what got the channel started, was me. It all started with me talking about this huge, Godzilla figure right here, which we had for an extremely long time. And by the way, this is not just all of it. There's also some over here on the top shelf, which are basically all the different versions of Godzilla that we have, and also a couple of Mothras. If you're wondering why this one's standing on this rocking chair, then, even though that's not really that good of an answer. But yeah, as you can see, a lot of these characters are, it's primarily, Godzilla related stuff, but there are actually a couple Ultraman villains here and there. You can see a lot of the older ones, and you can see the only two Ultraman figures that we actually have are the vinyl figures of the original Ultraman, as well as Ultraman Max, who has my all-time favorite design of Ultraman to date. Then again, I haven't really looked at many of the newer Ultramans in terms of their overall design, so I guess I don't really have much of an opinion on the newer ones. But yeah, as you can see, you've got, my favorite out of all the kaijus right there, just the Kiryu, the third Mechagodzilla. And if you can see all the way in the back row, covered in a shadow right there, you can see all the way in back, there's King Caesar. There's a version of the Final Wars Rodan, which I actually had twice. That's the second time I've actually had him. And, oh, it's funny, right here, right behind the Final Wars Godzilla, is the GMK version of King Ghidorah, the one time where he actually appeared as a good guy. Which we've always, I believe we used to have a King Ghidorah once before. It was a figure that was kind of like that. I'm not quite sure if it was exactly that one, but I do remember we used to have a King Ghidorah figure. But we eventually, some figures just sort of disappear and we end up having to buy them again. With a couple of exceptions, like the Final Wars Gigan right there and the Destroyer right there. We've had those for almost the longest time. We also got the Final Wars version of Anguirus right there, alongside the Showa version over there in the corner. And I'm not sure if I talked about this in my video where I quote-unquote reviewed this guy, which I believe I've done a review of a majority of the Godzilla figures, but this guy right here, the GMK version of Godzilla, is actually the very first Godzilla figure I remember owning and still own to this very day. But yeah, this is pretty much how the channel got started, because, of my love for the Godzilla series. I loved watching the movies as a kid, and I still love watching them to this day. And I would get more of these type of figures, sorry if you could hear any sort of background noise right there, but the main reason that I probably don't really collect them as much as I probably should and want to is because, these figures, especially the older figures, are very, very expensive. Like, you can look up figures like the ones for like Titanosaurus or Megalon, and they reach like hundreds and hundreds of dollars on eBay. So, if you know any sort of other way to get them, besides probably going to like somewhere in Japan where they're probably a lot cheaper because, that's where they're actually made, then your best bet is to just look up them online. But, another thing we also got right here are the amiibos that I personally own. There's also several other amiibos that my brother owns. But yeah, pretty much all of these I reviewed and did unboxings for. In fact, I'm pretty sure I did unboxings for every single one of these. But yeah, we got all of the Smash Brothers ones, a couple like Zelda specific ones like the 8-bit version of Link and the Breath of the Wild Link and all of that stuff. We also got the Shovel Knight amiibo, the 4 Kirby amiibos, and then of course right in the middle is the Guardian amiibo from Breath of the Wild because, there's no real way to fit him on any of these shelves. And as for the other group of amiibos, they're all right here. I'm not quite sure how much lighting you can really see of them. But yeah, a majority of these are the Smash Brothers related ones, as well as the Wolf Link amiibo that came with Twilight Princess HD. And then we also got stuff like the 8-bit Mario, and probably one of the most unique ones was the Yarn Yoshis that coincided with Yoshi's Woolly World, which I heard from most people. I think a majority of people think that's a pretty good game actually. But we also got the Fire Emblem amiibos right there. Then you also got the rest of the Pokemon amiibos right over here. Then you got Ness, Olimar, and then Pac-Man. Then a couple of these figures right here, and then we also got the Ivysaur amiibo, which because of the release of Smash Bros. Ultimate and bringing back all the other Pokemons that Pokemon Trainer had, it only makes sense to release amiibos of them. There's still a couple of the amiibos from Smash 4 that I still want to get, like the Cloud one and the Bayonetta 2 version of the Bayonetta amiibo, and all of that. And then of course there's also Richter and Simon, and then Snake, and all of those characters who are in Ultimate. So yeah, a lot of the stuff, amiibos, I still want to eventually get, and I think it would be kind of nice if, like, after I get them, I sort of bring the little unboxing amiibo series back with those, and sort of updating you guys on how, all of it is, arranged and all that, because as you can see, the shelves that we have right now are pretty full of amiibos right here. And so after that, I sort of transitioned over to the more of the Ben Talks About kind of area, where I believe some of the first ones I actually did for the channel were talking about the Attack on Titan and Death Note manga series. I'm not quite sure if you could see my face well enough right here. Yeah, you can see it, okay. But yeah, all the mangas that I have, I put over in this little desk right here. This is basically my quote-unquote work desk where I put a majority of my stuff. And there, of course, there's my laptop, which is currently being occupied by a towel because the little area right here that usually makes it close up, this area right here broke, and that area gets incredibly loose. So out of pretty much paranoia that it would probably fall out, I pretty much covered that area with tape and then placed a towel over it so the screen doesn't get all dirty. I would eventually like to save up for a new laptop though. But anyway, all of the Attack on Titan and Death Note mangas I keep saved right over here. As you can see, I don't have the entire series for each of them. I only got the first 6 volumes of the Death Note manga and the first 8 volumes of the Attack on Titan manga, the original Attack on Titan manga, as there have been like several different side stories and spin-offs based on that area, which as a matter of fact is actually right over here. As you can see, this is the first volume of Attack on Titan Before the Fall, which I believe is supposed to be a prequel to the original Attack on Titan storyline, so I haven't read it yet, but I am interested to see what they have in there. In terms of some of the other mangas I have here, I got, you know, like, that time I got reincarnated as a slime, the first 2 volumes. I got interested in that series because of the anime adaptation. You know, they had, like, trailers for it on, like, I don't believe it was on Toonami, but I do remember there being a trailer on YouTube for like the dub of the series on there. So then I got interested in it. Then I saw that I got adapted into like a manga, even though it was originally a light novel. Then got adapted into a manga. But yeah, I got the first 2 volumes of that, and I do really want to complete the collection. But the main manga that I've actually been reading lately is actually Black Clover. But like, you know, Slime right there, I only have the first 2 volumes, and right now the only one I have on the shelf right now is the first volume, because I'm currently reading volume 2, and it's somewhere else. And then I also got the probably the oldest manga I have right here is the first volume of Rurouni Kenshin. I started watching this series on Hulu, which, you know, unfortunately for most people, it only includes the dub of the series, not the, you know, the subtitled the Japanese version, but the dub is, in my opinion, isn't really as awful as most people say it is. I mean, compared to other anime dubs, it's probably not up to par, but, you know, people tend to complain about dubs a whole lot more than, you know, people usually give them credit for. And then I also got the first volume of the Nichijou manga. This is a series that I've seen clips of on YouTube before, and I thought, you know, the clips were always so funny because, you know, it's marketed as a slice of life series, but, you know, it's also so, like, over the top that it's just really funny. I do eventually want to get the Blu-ray of the series, because I just recently actually got an English dub. And I eventually want to watch that and show that to Mom, so we could both make a sort of impressions video on it, which I really do want to bring that series back, where me and my mom talk about different animes. I just think that would be really fun to do. And then I also got the first volume of the Sword Art Online light novel, and then I also got the first volume of the Gun Gale online story. Part in SAO. It's basically, for those of you who don't know, it was the it became basically the first half of the SAO 2, the second season of the series, which I do want to eventually talk about this series one time. I do want to make a video on Sword Art Online eventually. And then the rest of the other stuff is just like DVDs, which you know, is, in case you're curious, is it's the complete series of Ghost in the Shell standalone complex, which we are right in the middle of actually finishing. And then I also got this Godzilla movie collection that I got from Walmart, which has a couple of Godzilla movies. It seems like I might actually end up breaking this into a second part, because my timer just went ahead and ran out. So I will see you all in part 2, where I talk about all the stuff that's over here in the closet. And until then, I will see you guys there.